Yes. Yeah. Okay. Let's start. I think it's time is up and we can start. So thank you for all of our participants to being here and participating our first meetup. We will continue this series of this meetup, including the real-world Scrum experiences. So the first one is will be with Evelyn. I would like to thank you, Evelyn, you too much for accepting our invitation. So this is really important for the Turkish community because in Turkey we are implementing agile in several industries and several companies. So within the organizations, we need to listen to the real experiences. So as a valuable and as a experienced agile coach, I think you will add value to our community tonight. So I would like to give you the word to you. Thanks again for accepting our invitation.
My pleasure, Suhar. Thank you for inviting me.
Okay. By the way, for the participants, all of you can ask any questions, can unmute yourself and ask any questions whenever you want. And also you can write your questions within the chat room, chat box. So I will collect them and ask at the right time to the Evelyn. So by the way, as I mentioned, you can also ask whenever you want. Okay, Evelyn, we are listening to you. Thanks.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. Okay, hi everybody. So thank you so much for taking the time. You probably, if you're in Turkey, probably just finished your day. So particularly thank you for taking the time after work. So that's why I try to make it a little bit fun for you. So now you see a cat with Pikachu. So the topic I'll be discussing about is, are you truly? So now you know why I selected cat with Pikachu. So now let's get started with my topic. So the topic is, are you truly still ... So it's about my experience from coaching companies. Many companies have started their agile journey, Scrum journey for the past number of years. Some company that I worked with, they started the journey even over 10 years ago. And then the situation is, where exactly are we today? So the topic I will be discussing, there are 3 topics. The first topic is short introduction, and second topic I will be looking at is about zooming into the real world situation, and then summary. So what's our takeaway message from all the discussions? Yeah. And then first, that's me, China-born Canadian living in Sweden. I'm one of the few with the Scrum Alliance who have all the guide level certification, and I started to work as a software engineer. So I'm still, that part of me is still here. So I'm advisor to IEEE software. And then in Sweden, I have my own practice. As you see, that's my company. I provide coaching, consulting, and training services. And I speak and keynote at conferences. So talk about the agile transformation, talk about company challenges and building internal capability and so on. Yeah. And so now, as this is the helicopter view, as you could see. So very likely this looks familiar to you as well. What is that view? That is the view that you will see in organization. And then I'm very sure you share the same experience. In your organization, very likely that teams are working mostly with Scrum and some with Kanban. Before the lockdown for COVID, very likely you will see whiteboard posted everywhere, and then you're using Jira, and people are using all the new buzzwords. Everybody talk about backlog, user stories, sprint review, and retrospective. And with this helicopter view, everything looks fantastic. However, the question is, now back to our topic, are you truly benefiting from Scrum as a framework? Are your teams continuously improving? Is your product really shining and outstanding? And is your organization continuously learning and improving as well? So we will be zooming into some small pieces of this iceberg and see what are some improvement opportunities and good practices. So that is the helicopter view we have. However, before we start, as we are working with virtual programs, so one thing about Zoom, just in case you're not familiar with Zoom. So I'm not seeing that's moving. Okay. Technical challenge. Hold on. It doesn't seem to show it now. Okay, hope now it's better. So just in case you're not yet familiar with Zoom, so on your screen, you're seeing Evelyn, you are viewing the green bar saying you're viewing Evelyn Tian's screen, and then you will have the view option. Click on the view options, and then you will have the option of annotate. When you click on the annotate, you will have the bar. And then when you click on any function, for instance, the example is for drawing, click on drawing, or click on stamp, click on text. That will allow you to be able to write on my screen. So we have a relatively small audience. So therefore, if you have any questions, feel free to even write it on my flip chart. Thank you, that's so sweet. And also the beauty is, if you don't want us to know who you are, we don't really know who wrote what. So feel free to write. And that is about Zoom. And then I will be asking questions. Sometime I might put you into Zoom breakout room, and some other time I might want you to write on the flip chart. So therefore, this is something that can be useful. Yeah. So let's zoom in a bit. Again, technical difficulties not moving. Okay, interesting. Okay. So now let's zoom in a bit. So first, we're going to zoom into this. So now let's zoom into this together. So now if allow me to erase the happy face. We're still happy, but let's remove it for now. So as you see on top of the screen, top right corner, you see a Scrum task board. And where you see these 3 columns, spring back one. And then you all see the conversation that's happening during so the person who have blue post-it said, I'm working on this CCC. I will still be working on it, no impediments. And the green person says, I'm working on YY, will still be working on it, still no impediment. And the orange person says, I'm working on MMM, I'm still working on it, no impediments. And then the conversation was almost identical yesterday as well. So now my question for you is, how do you feel? However, as you see, how do you feel is a little bit tricky. Why? Because I could ask you, how do you feel? Yeah, I feel good. You could either feel good or good or very good. So therefore, now I'm going to talk about a question, which is called scaling question. So on the scale of 0 to 10, for you to feel about the current situation, and where roughly are you? So 0 means not good at all as a Scrum Master, as a team member, even I'm not happy at all. Or 10 out of 10 means I am so happy, I don't even know how I can be happier. And then, or of course, you can stay somewhere in between. So we just practiced just now with annotate. So now if you could actually use the annotate function to indicate where roughly are you. So you decide where roughly are you. I can see some people are joining already, fantastic. So I leave that for 30 seconds also. So think about it, roughly where are you in terms of your happiness level if you see a daily Scrum happening as such. Feel free to draw it anywhere you wish, okay? Okay, any sign is good, yeah? Great. Any other thoughts? Do we see any other numbers? Okay, cool. So now let's take a look at this together, yeah? And then the next one, I'll ask you to go into breakout room. You can have some discussion, yeah? So this is just a warm up. So first, let's take a look at the situation. So you see, daily Scrum is to help us as the whole development team to feel how we are doing with regards to our sprint goal. So that's why the development team member meet up every day by looking at what you have completed, what she has completed, what you're going to do, you're going to complete, and she's going to complete in order to have an understanding of how we're doing with regards to our sprint goal, to do adjustment as needed. So therefore, very likely now you already sensed, if I'm still working on CCC, and then I will still be working on it. And as a result, the development team does not really have a good understanding of where they stand with regards to their sprint goal. With that being said, as a Scrum Master, very likely you might be hearing people might be commenting, hey, Suha, how about if we meet up every other day? How about if we meet up on a Tuesday, on a Friday, twice a week? So therefore, as you see, if this is the situation, even every your team member, I might be asking the same question because we don't really see why we're doing this. We're not really collaborating as a team. Yeah. So therefore, the takeaway from this would be, when we are every day we're meeting as a Scrum development team, we're trying to see where we are together. It's not about reporting to our Scrum Master. It's about us as Scrum, as a part of the development team member, we are looking at what we have completed collaboratively and what we plan to complete to know where we are to adjust accordingly. So therefore, if our task, CCC, YYY, and MMM, they're too big, and we will not be able to sense where we are. So that is, then people will want to have a daily Scrum every other day. Yeah. So that is about the first one. Good. Okay. Then we move on to the second one. This one, I would like you to start to look into it. Yeah. So now the situation is a bit better now, as you see. During daily Scrum, the conversation improves. Blue person says, I finished AAA. I will be working on CCC. And then green person XXX. YYY, I will be working with. And orange is also making progress. I finished NNN and I will be working on MMM. And then no impediments. So the conversation continues with this pattern. So now, same question. However, I would put you into breakout room. So every room you will have roughly about 3 to 4 people. Yes, 3 people. You will have 3 people per room. 3 people will have a relatively good communication channel with diversity. Yeah. So 3 people per room. In there, you would discuss how do you feel about this situation. And then again, from 0 to 10, roughly talk about it. And then for us, of course, we're focusing on possible improvement opportunities. Yeah. So therefore, the answer is not 10 out of 10 yet. Yeah. Okay. Now, let's create our breakout room. And we do this roughly because the first time you work together, so I'll do 3 plus 1 minute. So 3 minutes, you will see the counter going down with 1 minute warning is going to close. Then we're going to talk about it together. Are we good? Okay, fantastic. Thank you for acknowledging.
Selam. Sesin gelmiyor ama sen
Evet,
duyuyor
evet.
musun
Ben
Selam?
duyuyorum. Şimdi geliyordur herhalde. Mute'da kalmıştı.
Geliyor. Selam, ne haber?
İyi valla, ne olsun, senden ne haber? Şu record'u pause alayım.
Okay, so now we're all back. Now let's take a look. Certainly, we're happier, no? Compared with the previous one, we're happier now. But how happy are we truly? Are we really, really 10 out of 10? As we know, as you can imagine, not quite yet. So where roughly are we then? Anybody would like to share from your discussion? What are some opportunity for improvement? Anybody would like to share? Okay, everybody is okay. Yeah.
By the way, Evelyn, most of the participants are returning to main session now. That's why most probably they didn't hear your question.
No worries. Okay, I'm going to talk again. Okay. Okay, let's see. Do we have everybody now?
Yeah.
Let's see. Yeah. Okay, now we have everybody. Okay, so anybody would like to share from your group? What's your discussion? What are some opportunity for improvement in this case? It looks quite good, no? Okay, Jerry.
Yeah, our group actually have 3 people, and we rated 7, 8, and 9. Okay. So yeah, there's one person who is very happy with the structures, and we think it's a very good platform opportunity for a team to exchange ideas and find out the problems and obstacles and the concerns. Okay, that's a good thing. But I think the areas of improvement is if you look at the structure of the sentences, it is very, repeating, I like to say, or everybody is just following a very much similar structure. I finish what, I will do what. It feels a little bit boring. So maybe maybe something can be done, to make it a little bit more interesting.
Okay,
is what we think.
very good.
Yeah.
Thank you very much, Jerry, and your team for sharing. And now let's take a look at this together. As you know, I'm a little bit tricky when I present at conferences. So now, number one, as you know, is not 10 out of 10. That's why we're talking. So Jerry talked about a little bit boring, okay? And then one thing is really important is that number one, we certainly have seen improvement. So now every day we're seeing our progress as a Scrum team together as a development team. Now we're seeing our progress. That's fantastic. And there's also this, as you see, that there is no impediment. You see this, no impediment, and the situation over the past couple of days are the same. What does this mean then, if that's the case? Oh, I just realized my screen is shifted, so I circled on the wrong place. Okay, and so no impediment, and over the past few days, yeah. And then, so now, then let's think about if that is the case, what does this mean? This means today it will be a repetition of last Tuesday, yeah, and then it will be a repetition of very likely 2 weeks ago, which means there is no continuous improvement. And Scrum is a framework that helps us to continuously improve. So that's why no impediment, it sounds good for a day. However, if every day stay the same, it's not really good because we're losing the opportunity for continuous improvement. Yeah. There is always something that is maybe for instance, I completed testing. However, I did 2 hours manual setup. I could work, we can do it faster. So opportunity for improvement, yeah? And then, so therefore, using Scrum as a framework help us to see what are improvement for opportunity for improvement every day through our day-to-day work. You can see this as a background engine. It should run continuously. Yeah. So therefore, that is the challenge with this situation. Yeah, certainly better, however, compared with the previous one. Yeah. And see Sakar asking if the job is done okay with DoD is about continuous improvement. And then every day we think about it. It's like an engine that should be running all the time. It's not just during sprint retrospective. It should be running. We're hunting for opportunities every single moment we have. It's like a background daemon process. Yeah. Okay, are we happy? Okay, then we move to the next one. Yeah. And next one, let's see, still the same, similar. Let's take a look. Now we assume all the conversations are taking place properly, meaning that everybody is talking about what we completed, and then also as you see the orange color, the circled one for orange color is impediment now. Now, same question, 0 to 10, where are you? For some of you, if you cannot see the orange circle, it just says impediment 1, impediment 2. So now we're looking for opportunity for improvement now, which is fantastic. Now the question is, where are we now? Happiness. Again, going back to our happiness discussion. Let's say now if we take a look at this together. So again, we do the same exercise. 0 is not happy. 10 is super, super happy. Where are you now? I hope certainly you're happier now, slightly. Yeah. So where are we exactly now? So this is again, use the annotate function to use any sign you want to indicate where you believe we are. Okay, we see a few stars on the bottom. That's certainly also a wrong spot. Okay, fantastic. Okay, great. So now let's take a look at what is the opportunity for this one now. It sort of looks good, doesn't it? And what is missing here? What's missing here? For some of you who nobody gave 10 because I'm tricky, so nobody gave 10. And now the question is, what can we do to make it a 10? What are some thoughts? Anybody would like to share? What was your thought? Go ahead. Sorry, we didn't hear.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I think what is missing to put in place the action to remove impediments. We identified impediments, and we should, it is the role of Scrum Master, but here we should put in place some action to remove impediments. This is my opinion.
Okay, so it's about how we resolve the impediment. Okay, cool. Okay, and what else? There is also something missing as well. And what is missing? Remember, in the current sprint, we want to make sure we're improving based on our previous retrospective actions. To make sure that really happens, we want to include that as well on our board. So therefore, now if we take a look at the next one now this one, as you see, there's another row that's added. Now it's in purple. Purple is action 1, action 2, action 3 from our previous sprint retrospective. Yeah, so now we should be happier now. Yeah, so we're happier. And then now I would like to check with you how many of you are at a 10 out of 10. 10. You see, it's a little journey, right? So now we have 4 bars now. Gradually, we're going higher. And again, if you indicate where roughly are you now, now you see the Scrum passport has 3 different rows now. 1 to indicate the sprint backlog to complete our sprint goal. 1 is for impediments. We actively think about impediments now every day. And the number 3 is for improvement action that we came in during our previous retrospective. Yeah. So now, okay, Akran is asking how do you write in on the screen. So if you see on the screen, you will see a green bar. You're seeing Evelyn Tian's screen. On the right side, you see a view option. Click on view option. You will see annotate. You will see a bar popping up. You will be able to play with that. Yeah. Okay, so now let's take a look at the result where we're talking. We're getting closer and closer to 10. Nobody dare to give 10 yet. Let's take a look. Okay, so it looks good. However, now if we take a look, if we put the chart into another view, you will see why it's not quite yet good. Now if I remove your drawing, as you see from the previous chart, all the user stories got started the moment we start. So every user story, as you notice, there were 7 different colors. All of them are ongoing. So then potentially what might be happening is, as you see, I'm always a very optimistic person. So we might run into this situation, which means we start all the way from here. And then at the end, the very last minute, we finish all our user stories. What a fantastic sprint. Life could have been very good, yeah? And however, there might be also another challenge. What if this happens? Which means nothing. There was no user story that was completed. That means it could be 98.9 or 99.9% of the 7 user stories were completed, but no user story was fully completed, which means we have nothing to deliver to our customer. We have nothing to perform for our sprint review either to our customer and stakeholder. Yeah. So with this being said, then we certainly have our challenge here. So therefore, if we are running into this situation, assume now I'm your product owner. What am I going to do? You will see product owner, I will have a hard time to manage my customer expectation. I told, for instance, Jerry, I told Akram that we'll be delivering most likely. However, what happened? There was nothing. Not that to say, oh, sorry, we missed 10%. Now we're talking about nothing at all. And then what happened? So I almost had a heart attack based on that experience. I will learn from my experience. Then what do? Every day will show up to your daily Scrum, which according to Scrum Guide, I'm supposed to be optional and desired. However, now I'm coming every day, I start to check. I start to check with Sardar, where are you? And what percentage is our completion now? And what's happening with that impediment? Because we were not able to show the progress through completing user stories one by one to have a working features so that our product owner could actually relax. So therefore, as you see, things are happening. We know that product owner doesn't really need to show up for daily Scrum, does not need to push for status. However, if product owner get heart attack sprint after sprint, they have to protect themselves. Therefore, and now if we take a look at this, very likely it will be better, isn't it? What does this mean? This means instead of starting all the user stories that we put for this sprint, we can start them gradually. Maybe we start 2 at a time, then we finish. Then we can also tell the product owner to come in to give an early feedback. We can certainly do a Zoom session to show the product owner, see now you could do this now, and how do you feel about it? And then if the product owner give any feedback, it's going to be, as you can imagine, a lot cheaper to implement at this moment. And then we can continue after that to continue other features. Now what happened? You will not be pushed for status every day. And then what happened? Your product owner is happier, will not have to suffer from heart attack either. So therefore, it's a happy scenario. That's why how easy life could have been for everybody. And so therefore, limiting work in progress in Scrum is also very cool. Yeah, I know a lot of people are working with Scrum, with Kanban, and talk about how work in progress can help. Certainly, of course, and that's why I saw the comments about, okay, where is the flow? Where is the, how do we measure lead time? Fantastic comments. At the same time, always remember working with Scrum, and it's always very helpful as well to really limit work in progress. It works even with your normal work. Prioritize your own product backlog. Don't start everything on your own product backlog. Prioritize. Yeah. Okay. So now let's move on to the next scenario. And now, as you see, how happy are you now? Now assume all conversations again are taking place properly. And then now from 0 to 10, where roughly are we? If your team is running like this, everybody is very cautious. Where are we going to do now? Think about it.
Hi, Alvin. Maybe we will add the Vakas here. How are you, Alvin?
You will, sorry, you will add what?
Like, as you said, like we will add the whip in each of the column. We can add it. Like on top, we can add the whip.
Fantastic, very good. Yeah, so that's what I'm trying to say. Also, there's always room for improvement. For instance, you could certainly add the whip here. Even now I'm doing the drawing, you can add the whip here. You can add a WIP. I also work with team that they actually have it either as a team, they have a WIP, or individually. They have one this magnetic thing per person, and then 2 people can collaborate over one task. You know, the value is huge. They will start to feel the pain of not being able to have cross-functional competence. You know, sounds a little bit mean. When I coach, I always joke. I said, if nobody feels any uncomfort/pain, there is no improvement. So having a little bit of uncomfort, we start to think about how we can improve. So therefore, start to introduce to put WIP, and that can be very helpful. It depends on what your team feels comfortable with, of course. Yeah. So I see a few comments about Scrum. I always have the same attitude. It really depends how you're working today. Instead of saying Scrum is not working, let's switch to Scrum. I shared with you one of the organization years ago, and they tried Scrum, and they said Scrum is not working. So then they said they tried the Kanban, and they tried it, I don't remember too many years, 6 months or 8 months later, then they reached out to me. And they said, Evelyn, we figured before we try Scrum, maybe you could come in and help us a bit. So when I coach agile coaches, I always tell them, if the team is working with Scrum already, Scrum is very powerful. Kanban is also very powerful. The important thing is about, are you truly benefiting from this framework, from this tool? It is like more likely you have seen the cartoon. You know, I'm trying to cut a tree. I used to work with an axe. You know, really work hard. Now let's say Suha gave me an electric saw, and then without plugging it in, I do the same. And I complain, Suha, this saw is not good. So therefore, it's always stay with what you are working with, discover the opportunity for improvement. I think you can be quite happy by doing so. Yeah. Okay, great. So let's see a couple comments. Good SM does not let it happen. Yeah, well, we all hope for a good Scrum Master, not only helping our team, but also, of course, help our organization, help our products as well. Yeah. Okay, so now let's do a little bit more zooming in. Now I'm going to zoom into retrospective. And now require a little bit of your attention is about a dialogue that's going to happen. However, before you read the dialogue, what I'd like you to do is to think, what are some improvement opportunities? And also, what are some takeaway learnings? So now also make the next dialogue a little bit tricky. So certainly there are areas for improvement. There are also something you can learn as well. Yeah. So now let's take a look at this together. So it's during spring retrospective. And then the blue words are the ones Scrum Master is talking about. Yeah. So I'm going to take a look at this together. Yeah. And then Scrum Master is saying, okay, guys, let's get started with our retro. First, let's go over our actions from the previous sprint. Yeah. And then Scrum Master digging into the laptop and then either projected, maybe sharing with Zoom. And then now Scrum Master says, first action was improve the collaboration with data link team. And looking at all the team member, how do we feel, guys, about this action? Let's do our usual hand voting. 5 out of 5 means that you're very happy and we can close it. 1 out of 5, that means not at all. We have to keep it open. Please show how you feel on my count of 3. So now you see my hand. This is 1, this is 5, yeah? And then I assume I'm acting as a Scrum Master now. So now I start to count, guys, 1, 2, 3. Then everybody showed. And now I talk again. I said, okay, most of you are at 1 or 2. It seems that the collaboration still needs improvement. And then let's move this action as one of the actions for this retro as well. So now my question for you, remember the question just now is opportunity for improvement and what are some possible learning as well, yeah, for this. So for this exercise, how about we do a breakout room discussion? And then you could take a snapshot of this just in case that you don't remember the story. And then the blue part again is about what Scrum Master said. Yeah. And this we also do 3 + 1 minute. So analyze the statement, think about what are some room for improvement, and then something that you can take away as well. And then we will be looking at this together, as you can imagine. Yeah. Okay. So let's see, hopefully this time it will work well. So did everybody take a snapshot? Very good. Okay, fantastic. So now let's start. Okay, so we have 29 seconds for everybody else to come back. At the same time, if I have any questions, let us know.
Evelyn, what's your take on anonymous retrospectives, like using something like pointing poker or something, rather than having people standing over there and visually seeing the counts and stuff?
Okay, it depends quite a bit on your team situation. So each time a retrospective session is facilitated, we should think about where are we roughly as a team. So if as a team, we're not quite a team yet, and then anonymous can work very well. Yeah. However, you also have to think about exactly, for instance, if very conflicting information comes in or very harsh language comes in, how do you handle that? So anonymous can be quite helpful before a team becomes fully transparent and open. However, it's still not to say that we use anonymous all the time. You have to think about if it's anonymous, for instance, if we use anonymous, we have a post-it says, Danish has very low confidence on blah, blah, blah. How do we handle situation as such? So you have to think about possibly what might be the scenario and what might be the outcome so that you as a facilitator, you're able to handle that.
Thank you.
Sure, my pleasure. Okay, great. So now let's take a look at this together. So what about you guys? Anybody want to highlight what are something we can improve from this? First,
I can share mine. I can share mine experience. So what I got from this scenario is we discuss in a breakout room as well, is there might be a reason that the points were not highlighted well and nobody was assigned to those tasks. That's why they still need the improvement and nobody took the action. And there can be two things: whether the actions were not that much well defined, or maybe nobody was assigned to it. So that's why it is still in hanging in. Another point my friend added is that Scrum Master is acting as a facilitator. Like, he's not acting as a facilitator; he's rather directing it. Like, it seems that the team still needs improvement. So this was one other point. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing, Wakas. And then, so now let's take a look. First one is improve the collaboration with data link team, which is a very, very bad action. It is normally we say it needs to be smart. What does that mean? That means if assume we are one on the same Scrum team, that means each one of us knows who is supposed to do what by when. And then collaborate with the data link team. That's going to be an action. However, unfortunately, I see this very often when I go into company to do coaching. They will have this action hanging there for weeks, for sprints. So therefore, remember, all of you, I hope you have some sort of training one way or the other. We want to have a smart actions. This is the collaboration with data link team is far from being smart. Yeah, so that is the first problem. And then another situation is that, remember, as a Scrum Master, your Scrum Master should be the facilitator, should not be the dictator of the meeting. As you see, a Scrum Master is like, hey, oh, okay, you guys seem to be good or not good, let's move on. And so therefore, this part is not good, can be improved, yeah? And then, however, this is something, if you're not using it yet in your team, this is something I would like you to think how you can bring it back to your work. Because remember, we easily get influenced by others. Assume, for instance, Erin and I were all in the same team. I just joined the team, this product yesterday. If we're about to vote on something, I know Erin has been here, let's say, for 5-10 years on the product since the day the product was born. Very likely I will pick on him. Oh, he thinks that way, I think that way. I might change my thoughts right at that moment. So therefore, when we have this finger indicating how we feel, which is a very good way, then you make it very clear. So he's doing a good job here. And then he's saying, on my count of 3, 1, 2, 3, then everybody show at the same time so that nobody influence nobody, which is a very good way to facilitate. So if your Scrum Master is not using it yet, and then it'll be the time to start to think about it. Yeah. So therefore, this is one of the one something hopefully you can learn from this using finger to vote. For instance, sprint planning. Hey guys, what's our confidence level? 0, 1 means very low, 5 is very confident. Where roughly are we? Individually think about it on my count of 3, 1, 2, 3. And that shows how we feel. Nobody, again, influence nobody. Yeah. So as you see that just now we talk about daily Scrum. As you see, there are many different areas we can improve on daily Scrum. And then Spring Retrospective, I could talk for a whole day to talk about how Spring Retrospective can be improved. And normally I joke about how daily Scrum and Retrospective can be the 2 vehicles to help us as a team, as an organization, to continuously improve. So therefore, it's very important to get this working. That's also why that, are we actually truly benefiting from this? Although if we do a checklist, everything is checked. However, are we truly benefiting from this? Yeah. And then I want to tell a little story about myself. Yeah. So my story starts from almost 15 years ago, a long time ago. So 15 years ago, what happened was I was still working in Ericsson. At that time, I was a system architect. So one of the products was going for Agile and Scrum. And then they sent people to take 2-day training. When the 2 colleagues came back, and they had a mandate to train the rest of the group through a 2-hour training. And then I was busy as a system architect. So I was one of the last one who took training from my colleague. And that was only 15, you heard me right, 15 minutes crash course to talk about how these meetings are supposed to happen. And then what happened was that in 2008, one of the Ericsson, the largest product in Ericsson, the most legacy product, was looking for internal agile coach because it has some experience with external coaches, didn't work out as well. So then what happened was that I was selected. I saw the job description, asked for background in product management, project management, system management, software development, customer installation, which pretty much almost like it's describing me. And then also they had a requirement that's called a strong experience with Agile and Scrum. So when I look at it, I say, yeah, I think I qualify. So I applied. I went for the internal interview, and the head for the organization looked at me, wow, this is like, we wrote this for you. So that's how I thought. However, when I truly got started, and that's the moment I realized how little I knew about Scrum, about Agile. And then, so through the years, I was learning, and that is the moment I start to feel, and then there's this chart I want to show you. Hold on, let's see how this works. Yeah, okay. So I was also advancing myself into psychology. So then I learned about cognitive bias. One of that works very well, very similar to us, meaning you, me, organizations working with Agile, Scrum, and Kanban. So now you know my A.S that stands for Agile, Scrum, and Kanban. Yeah. And then, so this is Agile, Evelyn Ask CC effect. Let me talk to you how it works. So remember my story. So on the X dimension, it shows competence. And then the Y dimension is perceived confidence. So remember me, I felt I had a very strong experience with Scrum and Agile. So this is how I felt. Until the moment of a tipping point. For me, it happened to be that I learned with the coaches. I was trained professionally to become an Agile coach. That's how I learned how little I knew. So then I started my journey continuously improving. Yeah. And then what happened is here is more a beginner's mind and start to gradually learn. And the more you learn, the happier you are. Then this journey continued, and I have been learning always, almost I say every day is a learning day. So then when I start to coach organization, then I start to feel this equally applied to organization as well, doesn't it? Many organizations, they start and they figure, yeah, we're working with Scrum. We're doing daily Scrum. We have our whiteboard. We're doing good. And then I even had the company, they hired me, and then I went in, and then the manager is more, yeah, our boss asked us to host you. But, we're doing quite all right. We don't really know how it can help us, but, feel free to let us know what you can do. You see, a lot of organizations, there are actually a lot of them are here. The key is about the tipping point. What can trigger this for us to build that true awareness that maybe my confidence level is not that high because the confidence level isn't that high, and to build that awareness, which is why over the past few years at different conferences that I've been speaking about, for instance, last year when I was doing the keynote in Scrum Alliance Beijing conference, the title was Ready, Set, Go, Not Quite Yet. And then today I have Are You Truly, Truly? So I also spoke about from inspiration to imitation. So many of these topics I have been speaking about over the past years is actually to start to trigger this awareness. some parts I have heard feedback, people start to reflect, yeah, maybe we're not quite there yet. And so hopefully it serves as one way or another as a little tipping point, so that to start to think about, okay, what are some possible opportunities for us to truly improve? Because as we know, again, Scrum is a framework that helps us, that us include you, me, your product owner, your product, your organization continuously improve. And that's why, back to our theme of the topic, are we truly, maybe not quite yet. Yeah. So that is the topic I have for today. Yeah. And what are some questions? I would love to hear your questions, your thoughts.
Maybe I can share my ideas about the last sample you provided us about retrospective and this presentation. So when I connect this both, I see that the tick point where the self-confidence bombed is really about experience, as I understand from your speech. And when I look to your previous retrospective sample, I see that the Scrum Master speaks but doesn't listen. So I think the most important point of being a Scrum Master is about listening. So if you ask the right questions, the information will come out, and you can also play with that information and ask other questions to the team. So this is about also the peak level of the self-confidence. So at that level, you just, as a Scrum Master, you just tell what to do. But as getting more experienced, you start to listen. What I understand from your speech of the last part.
Okay, great. Thank you, Suha, for sharing your experience and your thoughts. And Sudhar mentioned, I feel it's related to learn, unlearn, and relearn process. I would say sort of yes, and there's a level of difference, because you see, when you talk about learn and unlearn, now normally we're talking about at individual level. And then Scrum, the challenge is it makes you slightly feel uncomfortable. And then remember, I told you, sounds a little bit mean. That's what I do when I coach. Well, I sometimes joke and I say, okay, how do you guys feel about that solution? Yeah, I feel good. And I said, maybe it's not as good, not quite yet. You need to feel a little bit uncomfortable for you to actually feel the need for improvement. Yeah. So therefore, that's really the essence of Agile and Scrum. Okay, great. Any other questions?
Somebody's mentioned about Topman's team and group development model.
Yeah, very good. Okay, so for some of you, you have working as a Scrum Master, it's very important that you're familiar, get yourself familiarized, if not yet, about Topman model, which is one of the basic fundamental good to have model to start with. So you can roughly tell, okay, where my team is right now, and what is the situation, what is the challenge, and also, given that you know the stages, you get yourself prepared, and also you prepare your team for a smoother ride as well. So definitely that's something that's very helpful for Scrum Masters or for somebody who has passion to help teams.
Actually, there is something that I want to add here. The main important point related to Scrum or Agile framework is the mindset of continuous improvement. It is really a mindset, like you mentioned again and again, Tian, in the daily meeting, in the retrospective, etc. It's a mindset that we acquire, that every challenge is a new opportunity, that we will learn a lesson from it, we will put an action plan after that, and we will improve, we'll pass from point A to point B in a healthier way or in a better way. This is like the main lesson that I I acquired from this framework or from the lean management also. I was working before in the industry and with the lean manufacturing and the lean management mindset. And the main lesson that I'm focusing and I'm trying to improve is this mindset of continuous improvement that will help us to have this diagram or even the Topman team and model development, etc., to understand it more. It is all related to the continuous improvement mindset.
Fantastic. When I don't normally teach a lot of public classes. When I do, I make sure everybody is, if I use the word brainwashed, about continuous improvement. That is really the goal. Yeah, that is also why when you go back to your organization, one question to ask yourself is, compare today with last Tuesday, are we improving? Compare today with yesterday. And two, when I go into company, when I coach, I see so many company, they're very good with a sort of a military execution. They chop, there's they have a new Scrum process. And then this is how they do things. And there's no improvement anymore. However, again, all the roles, the meetings, everything is there, just missing the key element of continuous improvement.
Mm-hmm. Okay, one more, the last question maybe at the end of the event. Kaizen culture, maybe the other point you may look into. Okay, thank you very much for your contribution, Sardar.
Yeah, Kaizen is very good. For some of you working at organization level, particularly looking into Kaizen, look into different ways for continuous improvement. Certainly that is good to look into, yeah.
Evelyn, unfortunately, the time is up. We came to end of this event. I would like to thank you very much. I didn't catch the time. I don't understand how it passed. It was really fantastic. Thank you very much for your sharings and for your contribution to our community. And also, I would like to thank all participants for their contribution and for participating to our event. Please keep us following. This series will continue.
Okay, great. Thank you so much again for taking the time to join the session. Oh, by the way, that I copied my LinkedIn. If you're not connected yet, feel invited. Please connect with me. And then if you have any questions, any reflections, feel free to reach out to me. I think about agile transformation every day anyways, so get in touch.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, thank you.